So when we think about school, we think about a single number, the grades that you have. And in the UK where I'm living, it has to be about your GCSEs, your A levels, and your UCAS points when you go into university. In Japan, it's a deviation kind of score, as when I searched about it. It's when we are taught this number, that is our identity, our grades, a label we put on ourselves. Like if the number is high, you are smart, and if it's low, you are a failure. So I wanted to talk about Classroom of the Elite, a light novel series slash anime series that I've really been intrigued with. And at first glance, it just looks like another high school anime, in the genre. You would have Anakoji, the main protagonist, the master manipulator, the cool protagonist. But once I started reading the light novel past the animes that it's been adapted, reading to volume 1 till 3, as I have the physical books that I bought, I realized that the story isn't just about, the smart kid of the master manipulator, Mastermind X. I think it was a critique on how we define human value. So, looking into the background of it, where this school is based, so the Advanced Nurturing High School. So, it's not about the mind games mostly, and the characters. So it's like it's a mirror with the education system, and it's about talking. So I'm trying to discuss on why smart isn't enough. There's so many other levels that we should consider as a human being, of your classmate or whatnot, and why class D might be actually exactly where we all belong. So, like in the real world, there's one character, Suzune Horikita. She's one of the other protagonists, side ones, where we see first time in season 1 and in the light novels. Like in the real world, she would be the star pupil, the highest grades out of everyone, the perfect one, right? She studies hard, okay. And on paper, there's the system. So there's the class A, B, C, D. D is like lowest rank, A is the highest rank. And where she would be class A material. Yet the school system, when they interview her and her grades, they dump her to class D, the class of, defects, essentially. Because the school system of Classroom of the Elite, it operates in that kind of principle where in our reality, school often ignores. As a man is a political animal. And that is a quote from Aristotle. As he believed, with a human being is fundamentally defined by how they interact within a community. Horikita fails because she rejects that community. She thinks she can solo everything by herself in her lonesome. But in this school, in real life, isolation is a defect. And then you have Ken Sudo, okay? He is apology in the basketball team inside in the story. And arguably he is, a genius within the sports. However, if you look at his academic grades, he's, trash. He's useless. And that's the thing, right? So let's go over here. As in, the system tells you that if you cannot collaborate, if you cannot think critically beyond just the textbook itself of just studying, your grade A would be worthless. In the school of the Advanced Nurturing High School, the school forces them into a hierarchy with Class A and Class D, as I talked previously. And it wouldn't be just based on test scores, but on their flaws as a person. So here in the UK, we, we always compete with each other essentially for GCSE, A levels, B Tech, and then you got diplomas and you got degrees, and it's just a label, right? Like once you have it, you have it. It's a badge that you just wear, that that piece of paper that you impress your Asian parents with. But in the anime, status is currency, like literally. So there's the class point system, and then you got the private point system, and it's like a dynamic economy, right? That you have to gain it, you have to earn it. So if you slack off, your currency drops for each semester they have to work into. For the Class D to the Class A students, they generate points based on the performance. And that's one of the aspects that happened on the deserted island arc, where they had to gain points of how they would survive and how they have to collaborate as a team to work together to gain points and to gain. That's the whole saying of it, for what I know. And when we went to that arc, it introduces the concept like known in psychology as interdependence theory. So I tried to read about this. The students realize that their individual success is mathematically tied to the success of the person sitting next to them, even if they hate that person. It transforms the education from not being a solo, being by your lonesome, but into a team survival game. It forces like the smart kids like Horikita to work with like Suda because he's like physically more stronger, the dumb kids. And the other, I think there's other two idiots as well. I think it was the idiot trio. I can't remember their names, but one was like really good at fishing and hunting for food when they were in the deserted island. As so they have to work together essentially. And it asks the question is, you cannot, bring yourself up if you can't bring other people around you. Okay, it's not like a solo work. You have to work as a team. As with me growing up in the UK with an education system, I feel like I'm mostly labeled as you would be the smart kid, and then you be the troublemaker, well, the roadman or whatever. I hate that kind of slang. But anyways, often people would see people with straight A's or like, I don't know what's the grade system here. It's like 8s or 9s. That's what it is. That's what it is. And the moment they hit the job market, they lack the soft skills, okay? The emotional intelligence, negotiation, and adaptability, okay? And when we look at the classroom of the elite, the school is making the students in an isolated society, okay? That is a closed circle for them. There is no parents, there's no external interference basically with the outside world. They are closed off in the advanced nurturing high school. And that stimulates the harshness of the real world better than a real school does. So it reminds me of how it doesn't matter if your theory is perfect. What matters is, does it work? Can you survive on an island? Can you win at a sports festival together? Can you negotiate terms with like Class C? And then we'll get into that when it was in the light novels. And the rejects, the defectives, the Class D students, are actually made of like interesting characters because they evolve as the series goes on. And they have to break their labels to survive as just Class D students, and they have to work together and evolve. So the reason that it resonates with me and why I am obsessed, forgive me, with high schoolers manipulating each other, such as Ayana Koji. I feel like I'll put another topic on that because himself is like a different story. But essentially, what it tells me is the status that you give to yourself, memorizing from the textbooks and having good grades with your coursework or your test scores. Uh, it isn't given mostly by that, but it's through the adaptability of learning to understand with the human heart. Like, it is earned by realizing that unlike Horikita at the start, we cannot always do it by ourselves alone. So whatever you are in class A or class D right now in your life, or essentially if you're still in school, right? The points can always change. The semester isn't over. And that's just what I just want to bring it to. Like Classroom Elite, I think there's more than meets the eye in the story. And I just think it's a really well sorted out a book if you give it time to, be soaked in it, to put more depth into reading into it, okay? And yeah, that's just about it, okay?